Tim the time maker was a curious man, whose synchronized shop had thousands of fans, who came like clockwork to look at his stock of antiques and knickknacks and charming old clocks. They browsed and bartered, starting right at 9, but mostly they wanted to wait in line, for though Tim offered his goods buy, sell, or trade, Tim's true talent was making time handmade. He spent his days crafting time with care, for no one he knew seemed to have time to spare, and the time they got they were so quick to spend on jobs and jogging and old family friends. He slowed and pulled time as if it were taffy, spreading out the good times so filled with laughing, and sped through sad scenes to ones of good cheer by twisting a knob and by winding a gear. Tim once made a clock up to 101 for sisters who needed more time for fun. Another went up to 12 and a half for a boy who needed more help with his math. And for Tim, making time was a good business, especially each year just before Christmas, when Tim works on time each night until dawn, with barely a pause or a break for a yawn. But over the years, those folks became needy with wants and needs that seemed slightly greedy. I need a rush order. Could you please hurry? I'm out of me time and I'm starting to worry. It took time to make time. That was a fact. And Tim the time maker had once made a pact that he'd take his time to make their time right. But that was before what had happened that night. He'd closed for dinner, as he did at that hour, yet the crowds still stood there, whining and sour. Oh, great, take a break, that's all good and fine. But do you think we have time to be waiting in line? Tim slumped back and sighed, feeling lonely and low. He'd once made great time, but had gotten slow. He started making time for others years back. You're good, they said, you've got a real knack. One friend told two, and from there it had flowed. Now those good old days felt like ages ago. He had gotten so busy making time for others. When was the last time he'd called his own mother? Tim set down his tools and went back outside to address the crowd that had gotten so snide. I've made time for you these past many years, but all you do now is complain and jeer. I've given you hours and days and weeks, the gift of time, but you moan and critique. If you can't handle this with decent manners, then it's about time you start using your planners. Tim nodded his head and gave a bow goodbye and closed the shop door and headed inside. He left all his tools by the clocks on the shelf, and Tim the time maker made some time for himself.